What's up, y'all? Knight's Edge here again. Got another quick, I don't know if it's going to be quick or not. Another little review for you anyway. This is the Microtech MSI. Before I get into that, here's the channel information. Hit the like button if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content. I really do appreciate it. Subscribing means a lot and kind of helps me get towards my goal. Is 1,000 right now would be awesome. I don't know if I'll reach that in 10 days, 10 months, or 10 years, but would like to get there one day so I can get more knives and kind of bring y'all more content. Also, check out my Instagram, TikTok, email, all that stuff's in the description down below. Appreciate everybody that's done that and everyone that has supported the channel so far, including Mr. Stephen Weigel. This is a knife that he sent. Big shout out to him and his son Dominic. He is a really great member of the community and has been gracious enough to let me borrow this. This is, as I said earlier, the Microtech MSI. This is, I think this is their first manual action folding knife. Could be the Stitch. I'm not sure. The two of them came out right around the same time last year, the Stitch and the MSI. Both of them using the ram block, and then the Amphibian came out not too long after. Would love to get my hands on Amphibian. Got a pretty good deal offer from Mr. Eddie actually a couple days ago to get one, but I had to turn it down. I will definitely get one of those before it's over with, and I'll probably definitely get one of these. So there's a spoiler for you if you don't want to stick around for the rest of the video. I really like this knife. It's really good knife in my opinion. So we'll go ahead and start out. Let's see, where's my tape measure at here? See if I can find it. Usually got it right here. All right, there it is. So overall length on the MSI, from the tip of the blade all the way to the end of the handle, you're looking right at 8 3/4, maybe 8 7/8. Pretty long knife, good, more than full size knife, I would say. 4-inch blade if you go all the way back to the very point where it meets the handle at, and cutting edge on this is right at 3.5 inches, just under 3.5 inches on the cutting edge there. Maybe a hair under. Get the calibers out here. Turn them on. Make sure they're zeroed out. All right, flip her over. The back side of it here, thickest part of the spine. Got 162 there. That wedges down. That kind of doesn't count, right? 160-ish, right around 160 thousandths on the thickest part of the spine. On the edge, underneath the apex, not where the apex of the edge is at, because that depends on sharpening, right? But right where the edge bevel starts, let's see what we got here. Right at 27.5 thousandths. And that's, like I said, it's not on the apex, so not thick, not a thin slicing knife at all. Not especially thick. I wouldn't say, overbuilt thick, but still pretty thick. Over 1/2 inch on the handle thickness. So that's a pretty hefty handle, but it's a pretty hefty knife, so it kind of evens out with the handle also, right? All right, turn those off and go ahead and do size comparisons next. So we got it up against the Rat Model 1. You can see there the MSI is still even bigger than the Rat Model 1. It's a pretty big knife. Not by too much, but still a bigger knife, and definitely more bulky of a knife for sure. Ontario Rat Model 2, way bigger than the Rat Model 2 for sure. Spyderco Paramilitary 2, still bigger than that, and definitely bigger than the Spyderco Para 3 for sure. Put those up. and do the Ritter Hogue RSK MK1 G10 and the Hogue Deca. So more along the lines of the size of the Ritter Hogue, although still definitely bigger than the Ritter Hogue. Way bigger than the Hogue Deca, but still bigger than the Ritter Hogue. So pretty good full-size knife. That gives you a pretty good idea of it. And last but not least, let's get out the only other manual Microtech knife that I have. That's the Stitch. So, as you can see, these do have similar aesthetics as far as, not as far as shape or anything, but as far as looks. You got the similar materials anyway. Same blade steel, same sharp symmetrical lines, same ram lock, they call it. Their manual action right there. Same little pinch point for that, handle, whatever you want to call it. You know, same screw type. These are, you know, both fairly similar in that regard, but that's about where the similarities end, because you know, the MSI is definitely got more cutting edge than the Stitch, I would say. Or the Stitch, yeah. The MSI definitely has more cutting edge than the Stitch, right? So you got probably an extra ½ an inch of cutting edge with the MSI, maybe more than that. And then plus you still got the benefit of this choke up spot there, so that's good. And that's the two compared to each other, side by side anyway. So we'll go ahead and get out the scale here. Make sure this thing's zeroed out. Alright, Microtech Ramlock MSI coming in at 5.4 ounces on the first weigh in. 5.4 ounces. 5.5. I'm right at 5.4, pushing 5.5, I would say. Pretty close to 5.5. So almost 5.5 ounces on this. It's a pretty hefty knife. Definitely gonna know it's in the pocket, but not by any means, you know, to me anyway, pushing the limit. A lot of people might say that's way far over the limit, and that's fine. You know, everybody's got a preference for sure. So carrying in the pocket, the old blue jeans here. So that's pretty much what you're looking at in the pocket. Pretty deep carry clip. Still got a little bit sticking out there. And, you know, whenever it's riding the line of the pocket, that's pretty much what you're looking at right there. So deep profile clip, that's a good thing. Screws are recessed and rounded off. That's a good thing, all right? Or no, they're not recessed. They're rounded, but they're not recessed. And one thing that I would have to say, and I'm not trying to be off the bat negative about this thing, because I do love this knife. There's a lot I like about it. But one thing that aggravates me with this is this thing. Now, it looks, looking at it like that, it sticks up a lot, right? This little hump. But whenever you're sliding into a pair of jeans, it tends to want to stop right here every time. In and out the pocket. Put it in, you know, press down, and it goes right there. And then you got to kind of grab the seam of your pocket and the knife and push it all the way in, right? And then plus those are sticking out, so that does provide another grab point for grabbing kind of like the pocket of your blue jeans, and that's not good. So we'll go ahead and get out the Torx bit, do a hardware check on it. Let me 1 second. I'm gonna try to find my larger bits here. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need for this, but for some reason didn't have them out and ready. I don't really use anything larger than a T10 too often, so give me a mulligan on this. Going through some stuff here. Let's see, here's a T20. And what's the next size down? T15, I think, right? Alright, so I got a T20 right there. And I know I got a T15 in here somewhere. Find it. Right there. Alright, so what I'm going to do, so I don't ever have to do this again in the middle of a review, go looking for parts. I'm just going to keep them right in the same spot. Right off camera right there, got a little slot. This mat's really helpful. This is a Voodoo mat. Got this on Amazon. So this thing's really helpful. It's got little magnetic slots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the T20, T15, and I'm going to put them over there with that T8, T6, and T10 that I use all the time. So let's go ahead and get out since I look for them so hard here. This is a T15. I think it's bigger than that. Yeah. So T15 still loose. Go all the way up to a T20. Yeah, T20. So that's a very large pivot screw. Go ahead and show you that, T20. So that's awesome. Really good. I think it's got a D-shaped pivot barrel too, which is good. It means you don't really need two of them whenever you're taking it apart. So fairly captive pivot there. Next, we're going to do the body screws on this. I think they're all the same actually. And that is, the camera to focus here, the T8. All right. So go ahead and try out that T8, 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 pocket clip, T8, awesome. Might have to swap this back around here in a little bit anyway, because I got to send this back to Mr. Stephen Weigel. He's a lefty. And so I want to give his knives back the same way he had them mounted. So that's awesome. That is T20 on the pivot and T8 for the rest of the hardware, including the pocket clip screws. That's really cool. So obviously Microtech's been paying a little bit of attention, at least to their fan base and the general EDC community as a whole, but knife community anyway, because T6s are no good. So T8's perfectly fine, don't strip really that easy, and a T20 on that pivot, that's awesome. So that's what you're looking at with hardware. As far as material goes, these knives usually run from $179.99 up. I've seen them as cheap as $160 with a discount, and probably get them for cheaper than that, even more. And I've seen them as high as $300 when they first came out. So that's a little bit, you know, especially for the G10 one. I think that's ridiculous because, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's even higher than MSRP. Might not be, but I'm pretty sure it is. This model, the G10, this is Coyote, either Coyote or Tan. I think it's Tan G10 with a coated blade. I don't think that's DLC coated. I just think it's a PVD maybe, or a Cerakote. But coated blade with Tan G10, you're looking at right around 200, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on where you get it. To me, this is a great deal. You know, USA made, all USA made, Microtech folder. You know, you're getting a big hunking knife, gigantic, big hoss of a work knife for 200 or less in this base form. That's nothing wrong with that at all to me. Overall, it's a great thing. So, one thing that I've heard that I didn't have to deal with on this at all. Well, two things. I'll go over, you know, one small one first is the lock stick. Now, when I first opened this up, got out the box, it did have some lock stick on it. Kind of turned me off with the knife, you know, at first. So, you know, I opened it up, and then when I went to disengage the lock, it was kind of like I had to give it a little more than extra effort to pull this back. You know, and I was kind of like, man, what the hell, you know, like shouldn't be this hard to close. But now look at it, I'm not really giving that much effort at all whenever I disengage it. And that kind of wears in time, right? The more use you get, the more that lock stick will wear in, and you'll get rid of that. Now, another thing I have heard, but I haven't experienced with this one, didn't do it to this one, but spine whacking. I've seen legitimate tests, you know, and I believe people when you know, especially when they are transparent about it. Like I think it was Cutting Board Reviews. I believe that's his name. He did a spine whack test on it and cut his hand because it failed. You know, and it was a heavy spine whack too. I mean, this guy was just beating this thing against a piece of wood. You know, so what he did was he basically tore it apart, took it off, and dremeled out, or not dremeled out, but sanded out where this contact point meets on the ram lock with the tang of the blade. So whenever he did that, he kind of made more room for this thing to fully, whenever this engages like this, to fully go up in here, right? So this thing's engaged right now, but it's not all the way up, right? So if you watch it, whenever I open it up, as I open it up, here comes the spring, pushing the lock into place, bam, right there. So it's locked right now, but it's not all the way up. So what he did was kind of put that all the way into place to where there's not really that much of a gap there. And this, as it sits right now, I have no worries on this thing disengaging. You know, I've carried it for a few days. I haven't went crazy with it, you know, especially because it's not my knife. Treated it fairly well, but I have carried it, and you know, have not had a single worry in the world about that lock disengaging or something like that. But that is something that's you know, it's definitely something to keep in mind. So one other little thing, you know, is the tab right there. I really like the fact that it's mounted for lefty. So if you want to mount it the other way, all you got to do is unscrew these, unscrew that, put this tab here on this side, take the clip, put it here, screw everything back together, and you got yourself a lefty mounted knife. So that's pretty cool. Simple, easy, quick. Good way to do that, I think. I like the jimping they put up here, up top. It's perfect for whenever you're kind of choked up on it, you know. Pull cuts are really good. I love that. Reverse flicking, you know, it doesn't pop out like a paramilitary 2 would, you know. If you give it kind of a weak reverse flick, you'll have to use your wrist to get it out there. But if you give it a strong reverse flick like that, you know, no problem. And as far as, you know, open it with your thumb, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. You know, you can slow roll it, however you want to do it. It's a fairly fidgety little knife, you know, even though it's a good size. What else? I like the texturing on the slide right there where you slide the ram lock back. That's pretty cool. That works really good. One thing I thought would be pretty cool is if they put a little tab up here or something, you could almost turn this thing into like a shark lock, you know, where whenever it's engaged, you could slide this back. Because all this does whenever you pull these back is this, right? So if you had, you know, something right there, you could just pull that back like that, you know. That was just an idea, you know, but definitely not a, you know, negative on the knife or anything. The over travel stop, you know, the point where the blade stops right there, that thing is just solid as a rock. Nothing wrong with that, you know. That's not going anywhere. This thing's just, you know, it's, I would say it's overbuilt, but it's not, you know, it's not like the Beowulf or the Titano, something that's impractically overbuilt. You know, I would say for everyday tasks, this thing is overbuilt. This is a great knife that you don't really have to worry about as much. Another slight thing that I like about the knife, not really that big of a deal, but this G10, I like the way they fluted this. Now, they did it also on the stitch. If you look at my stitch, You know, it's got the fluted G10. That's pretty cool. You know, I like the way that pattern they put on there. I would definitely look into getting one of these for sure. I really like this knife. It's a great knife. Sharp as a razor. You know, I mean, this thing, let me get some paper out here. See if I can cut paper the right way. Last time or the time before I did that, I was trying to show how sharp the thing was and ended up messing up the cut. But yeah, this thing's, I've cut with this thing pretty good low amount. You know, broke down some cardboard boxes with it. I have popped a couple zip ties with it, and I've cut some rope with it. And this thing still slices paper like nobody's business. So really good with that. This is, if I didn't mention before, it's M390 MK, which is M390 Microtech knives. It's kind of like Microtech's little twist on M390. You know, a little bit of added special sauce in there with the steel, I guess. You know, I don't really find it to be, you know, something that's over the top, like 1,000% better than M390. You know, I think it functions, to me, as far as I can notice, essentially, you know, like M390. But yeah, this is a really good knife, and you know, for the value, American made, I would say this is a win for Microtech. So anyway, that's about it. Can't think of anything else to say about it. And let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know what y'all think about the MSI, Microtech's RAM locks, my rambling reviews, whatever, in the comments below. And like I said earlier, all the stuff's linked down in the description as far as, you know, contact me if you want to email me, Instagram, DM, whatever. And another big shout out to Stephen Weigel, his son Dominic. Thank you, Stephen, for letting me borrow your knife, and appreciate it. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. And until the next one, stay sharp.